All right, so here's a method section that somebody wrote about how to make, or about how they made fruit smoothies for their experiments. So one issue that we have right away is that it's not written in the passive voice. So they say, we added 3 medium strawberries, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that's not passive voice. Instead, you could reword it to say, 3 medium strawberries, stems cut off using a paring knife, a 1/4 cup blueberries, and a 1 cup vanilla yogurt were added to a blender. So do you see the difference? Basically, in passive voice, you're going to avoid using pronouns. So don't use we, I, stuff like that. It should be very dry, not involve the researchers, because it's really just about the experiment and what was done. All right, another issue that we've got in this method section is here where they talk about using a paring knife. Does it really matter that they used a paring knife? Could they use a steak knife or a butter knife or a chef's knife and still cut off their strawberry stems and have the fruit smoothie turn out exactly the same? Yes. So when you're writing your methods, ask yourself, does it matter that you used a P20? If it does not matter, if you could have measured it using, a Pasteur pipette or a graduated cylinder and it wouldn't matter, then leave that detail out. Okay, let's go to another example. So here's a method section about how to make an ice cream sundae. So here, this is a common mistake where it's more like instructions given. So you don't want to tell people how to do it. You're telling them what was done, okay? So it should be in the past tense, so, and not in instructions. So instead of first take the tub of ice cream was taken out of the freezer, blah, 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 okay? Another issue here is that they're missing some details. So top with chocolate syrup. Well, is that Hershey's chocolate syrup? How much? 3 tablespoons? You got to give those kinds of details. And whipped cream. How did you measure the whipped cream? How much? What brand? Etc., etc. So think about when there's a detail or whenever you're writing something, if somebody could misinterpret it or do something different and that would affect the experiment, you want to include those details, okay? So just to give you a sense for the common mistakes that we see in method section, so passive voice, which we talked about, past tense, we also talked about, so make sure that you're writing in the correct style where it's passive past tense, such as worms were washed and added to experimental plates, not we washed worms or wash your worms, okay? And then too much detail or too little detail. So again, read through your methods when you're done and think about if you're missing any information or if there's any information that could be eliminated without affecting the outcome of the experiment if someone was to replicate it. Then the other thing is to break it up into sections by protocol. So a lot of students want to break their methods up according to experiments. So, week 1 we did blah, blah, blah. Week 2, week 3. That's not how you want to do it. Think about it. If this was a real science paper, you probably had been working on this for a couple of years. You might have done 100 days worth of experiments or more. So you're certainly not going to want to sit and read 100 paragraphs in a methods section. So instead, break it up by protocol. Washing worms, counting worms, plating worms, data analysis, things like that, all right? So keep the sections generic, label them well so somebody can easily go into the methods, not have to read the whole thing in order to figure out the one detail that they're interested in. All right, hope this helps.